Lincoln Lawyer, starring Matthew McConaughey
as Abraham Lincoln.
Go ahead and explain, I guess.
as Abraham Lincoln's lawyer here on the Mark and Andre Show.
Shout out to Lincoln, by the way. Rest in peace.
Shout out to Abraham Lincoln.
And I lost like hours worth. Sorry, my clone burst in here through a portal and literally started repeating what I was saying earlier.
It's not the same link.
So please forgive that. The duplicate, the doppelganger that just popped in here, he's gone now.
Ay, Dios mío.
It's not the same one?
From the producers of Adios Mio.
It's a totally different one.
Like R. Kelly legit peed on a person.
Don't forget that. Everybody.
Like he does that. So he obviously does that more than once.
Don't forget that, everybody.
Why is the camera not available? It says the camera is not available. There seemed to be error with camera.
What happened to camera?
What happened to camera? I do not appreciate error. Your error.
Adderall?
Your error to the camera. There are very many errors to your camera.
Shamara.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Tony Shamel?
M. Night Shyamalan. He's very good movies. I very much appreciate the work he do.
Really?
I remember very first time I see Mr. Shyamalan's movies. They were very entertaining. There were moments of fright and confusion. He deceived me toward the end of the seven senses, or the six senses. We're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning into the Mark and Andre Show. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. Episode 65, The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about what makes a movie a classic, and also we're going to be discussing world peace.
Yeah.
Is the world able to achieve it? Can it be achievable?
Yeah.
What's holding it back? What can happen for it to be so here on the Mark and Andre Show?
Yeah.
Andre, how you doing?
Yeah. You know? Yeah. For real.
With me is my very esteemed co-host, forefather of Lyricology 101,
Yeah.
Hip Hop Tutorials, Andre Gaynor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys notice that we're dressed in pretty snazzy clothes, kind of away from our usual uniform of casual clothing.
Yeah.
We just got back from a wedding.
A fantastic wedding.
Congratulations to Jonathan Ford and Jamie.
The new Fords.
Exactly, the Fords.
The new Fords on the block.
Wish you guys the best.
The best. The most best.
And other than that, we're doing good. We just got back. You doing good, Andre? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling fantastic.
Sound Lad, how you doing on your end?
Pretty good.
There we go.
Thanks, that.
So now, it's
time to get serious.
I know. If anything, we're 9 p.m. on time on Hawaiian time. I think that's like an hour behind our time, Pacific. What qualifies a movie to be a classic? Now, in the world of cinema, there's a few movies that go beyond the preference of genre and actually become a hit with all audiences.
Mm-hmm.
A sci-fi movie can go beyond that of sci-fi fans and actually be liked with a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to you, Andre, real quickly, what do you think makes a film a classic in
my eyes? I mean, as long as Tyler Perry is affiliated with it, I think that sets the ground for classic film, no matter what.
So the precedent starts with the Tyler Perry joint right at the forefront.
Yeah, and because he completely bites from Spike Lee, so it's no longer a Spike Lee joint; it's a Tyler Perry joint, and Spike Lee's completely been executed. Nobody knows that he did that.
He's just
Tyler Perry's running the show. No, in all seriousness, what sets the standards for a classic film? I personally feel like if you can watch the film, maybe a decade after the original experience and still have a completely new experience, that film is a classic. If it's innovative, if it's groundbreaking, those are also great attributes of a film. But I think it's also if it's primarily, to me, if you watch the film, during its when it first premieres, when you watch the film and you have an amazing experience and you're like mind blown, and then you decide I'm going to watch it 5 to 10 years later, and you watch it and have a completely new experience. You know, you see things differently, or you keep some details and you go, oh wow, this whole film is a totally new experience. That really sets the ground for it to be a classical film. Also, one extra little note: if they have those deeper layers in it,
Yeah.
you know, that's just a personal preference for myself. I don't think everybody holds that standard.
To have a movie that is able to have a expiration date longer than 10 plus years.
Yes, that like it's still somehow relevant in the future. Like that's really hard to pull off, but some films have done it.
Yeah.
And you know, it stands the test of how do you say it?
Time. The box office, a lot of people want to go to the box office when they try to tell you what a classic is, but if a film gets released to multiple theaters and gets box office acclaim financially,
Right.
that really doesn't play in sometimes to the classic idea for it to be a classic movie.
Right.
You never consider the fact that because it makes a lot of money at the box office, never consider it to be a box office hit and share it in the same note as a classic film. There's a ton of movies that get 100 to 300 million plus at the U.S. box office, and they become forgotten.
They become forget.
Forgotten the
They
next
become
year.
forget.
Shortly after the release, they become totally forgotten. And movies like Central Intelligence, released last year in 2016, made $217 million at the box office.
Shit.
And I forgot it was released last year.
Right. And how soon last year?
June. So
June.
in the middle of 2016, this was a summer flick. It had two of the most acclaimed, the most used actors of 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart.
They're for real, like, man, they're fucking everywhere.
They work hard.
They work really hard. They're everywhere. But yeah, that film came and went and nobody gave a fuck. Like, seriously, it seems like that came out years ago, right?
And with $217 million at the box office, you would think a lot of people would remember it.
It was so in and out. Like, it did, like, the experiences didn't even matter.
Look at even the promo poster for it. It looks like it was done in 20 minutes.
Right.
It's a rock, stand behind Kevin, hold these, and then we're just gonna have the logos in the front.
What was their tagline? It was like little heart, big
And
rock,
Big Johnson.
Big Johnson. There
Yeah.
we go. Big Johnson and a little heart, some stupid shit.
So this movie ended up racking in $217 million.
Right, but
Off a $50 million budget. So we can go to the next example. This is going to tie into the movie I'm going to be using later. Oz, the Great and Powerful. $234 million at the box office. And I barely remember that James Franco was in it. James Franco and Mila Kunis were in it.
right, and it came and went.
It really came years ago. And
And I do remember the hype around the movie because like that's technically a prequel to the Wizard of Oz.
when Disney teams up with the Oz franchise.
Right, and it looks cool, looks exciting, and came and went. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, it's like the hype of the moment is what caused it to have such a huge turnout, you know? And it's really that these are just films that had great marketing. Or they had familiarity. For example, the last movie we just looked at, it's the two most seen actors, and they put them together. Of course, people are going to see it. Two markets brought together. Then we got the Great Powerful Oz. It's just the title, you know, Oz. Everybody knows Oz, and you see that world expanded.
And you'd figure with stars such as James Franco, Mila Kunis, Dwayne Johnson, and Kevin Hart that these movies would remain memorable, or even try to maybe it'd even go into the category of being classic. But despite all that, they end up being forgettable.
As a matter of fact, when we were looking up pictures to use as an example, we didn't know what movie you were talking about.
Right, I was like, Oz, the Great and Powerful. I thought, because Mark likes to make up shit, so we thought he fucked around and made up a movie.
It's all work.
And then he showed us we saw the image to the film, and we're like, oh, wow, I do remember that being a thing. But it was so in and out. It almost sounded like Oz, the Great and Powerful, if you just heard the name by itself, it to you and your brain goes, didn't that come out like 10 years ago? Like, it didn't sound like it was a recent film. But
exactly.
Who gives a fuck, right? Like, the impact of the film did not stay. It didn't. We didn't see anything spawn.
Even with the movie with the franchise associated with it, can't even draw up a scene from it.
Right.
I remember watching it, and I'm still like, yeah, the only real thing I remember from it is when they go back, when in the beginning scene they go to black and white, but everything's 4:3 instead of 16:9.
Right.
So that was like one of the things I remember. After that, it's all blank.
Right.
How long has Disney had the rights for Oz?
I think at that point they had the Great and Powerful Oz is going to be the point where they had it, and now they're going to make another movie from there.
Are they really?
Well, once you
soft reboot.
Yeah, once you buy the rights, you're gonna use it as much.
And if your name is Disney, you're gonna fucking rape your product until it's dry.
And your customers.
Open up customers. Those wallets.
The other movie that I want to talk about is from 1999, and this movie's Inspector Gadget. Matthew Broderick. Mm-hmm. They ended up trying to bring.
That was in '99.
That was in '99.
The car was voiced by D.L. Hughley. Mm-hmm. I just remember Matthew Broderick was in it.
Yes, that's like that shit is not made up.
Come on, Gadget.
D.L. Hughley's the sassy car.
We can associate this movie with being shit,
right?
But it made $97 million at the box office, and off a $90 million budget, so it only scraped $7 million profit. But still, it's
that's
like
million. Yes, it only scraped $7 million profit. It doesn't matter. The gamble worked. And once again, we're seeing Disney. It's another Disney film.
The idea with it is like this movie has always generally been associated with a bomb.
Yeah.
And I just barely remember this.
It's one of the worst.
Inspector Gadget is directed by the guy who did Cool as Ice.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's one of the worst.
I know I picked it for a reason.
It's one of the worst films, actually. It's really bad.
So the three movies described all made a notable impression at the box office, but despite the good box office numbers, these movies aren't considered classics. So the whole rule of, but it killed at the box office. Okay, but do you remember it?
No. And the box office doesn't mean shit. It's like, that's the same argument as somebody saying, well, Drake is better than Lupe because Drake sold more records. Or Drake is better than unknown rapper because we know the rapper's name. You know? This is the same concept. Really, it's brand familiarity, right? But yeah, they hit huge. It's like, it's a lottery. So they hit huge in the box office, and then they probably hit huge again with DVD sales, and then we're dead silent. There's nothing after that. There's no staying power.
Yeah.
If you watch these movies again now, you'll laugh at them. They're bullshit. Even Central Intelligence, as new as it is, if you watch it again now, minus the hype, then it's pretty much going to be garbage.
I was only able to watch that twice, and even the second time, I'm like, fuck, I forgot they ended up doing that instead. There's only a few funny scenes in that movie, despite what you would think with two heavy hitter A-list actors.
Right. And I have a little philosophy real quick, and it'll be fast. I feel like if, first of all, hype to a film is one thing, and that will affect your movie experience. Yeah. And also being in the theater affects your film experience. Because one of the most glaring things that I remember off the top of the head is in Matrix Reloaded, where Neo fights all the Smiths, right? In theater, it was the greatest thing I had ever seen. Then when it came out on DVD, I watched it again. It looked like a damn video game. It looked really bad.
It's all compressed.
Yeah, but in the theater, that shit looked. There was no CG. You weren't like, there's a bunch of robotic faces of Smith him fighting them. No, you were so enthralled by what was happening, you didn't notice. And then you watch it on DVD and go, okay, that really was a mess. This was ugly. This was ridiculous. I think that effect happens often. Often.
There's even the bias of to go on what you're saying. There's even the bias of paying to go see a movie and not wanting it to be shit.
Right.
Like every time we review a movie, we're kind of rooting for it because we have to pay to review that. We have to pay to watch to review these movies, and we're like, was this shit a waste of my time? And it comes with that, like the bias of the great action flick, the great action scene in the Matrix Reloaded movie. It looks great. Then you take it home. You're watching it. You're relaxing. You're in a different place, and it's just like, wow,
this looks awful.
This is like the Matrix Revolutions video game,
right? So yeah, there's definitely. I feel like the theater itself has its own atmosphere and its own influence on your experience. But then again, we're talking about classic films, so even if that initial impact is incredible, if the follow-up sucks, then I wouldn't consider it a classic. You know.
So there's even more factors that attach to this beyond success at the box office.
Oh I think success in the box office attributes itself to like the people seeing it is like date nights and people like going for the namesake of the movie.
Just obligated views,
because
because a lot of people do go to the movies in this like desperate attempt to do something unique.
Exactly.
Like me and my girl, we work all the time, and this is our only day we get to spend together. So we're just gonna see whatever's in there. Oh, an Adam Sandler movie, I know him.
Exactly.
Jack and Jill.
Oof.
And just sit through that shit. And
with no hope.
With no hope. Like, I'm a little afraid that Get Out is going to suck on DVD.
No, that's what I thought when you were saying what makes a classic movie and rewatching it and seeing different things.
Mm-hmm.
When at the end of Get Out, when I seen it, I wanted to see it again.
Right.
I think that's what makes a good movie.
I think there's things in Get Out that we haven't caught yet because after watching Get Out, there was a lot, the whole hype train went with it.
Right.
And there's even captions of things that a lot of people caught in Get Out that I didn't catch beyond that. Like when they get pulled over and the girl keeps asking, why do you need to see his ID? Mm-hmm. She's not saying it to protect his rights. She's just saying it so she doesn't want to get caught.
Yeah, she doesn't want that cop to have him on record with being with her.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but then also if you look at the deer parallels when he was looking at the deer and he kept thinking about the deer, what did he do later on in the film with that same with a deer? He used a deer as
no spoilers.
He used the deer as an opportunity. That's so.
Okay, all right. See, you guys are mentioning things that when I do watch it again, I am going to know.
Yeah, there's symbology all throughout. So when you watch it again, you're like, damn, there's so many little gems that you can enjoy. Yeah. And that's a great film experience. Sixth Sense. I'm sorry. Did you have a
No. You could bring those examples.
Yeah. So The Sixth Sense is another great example. It's like it was one of those things. I watched it, and of course, the plot twist is what had everybody going crazy. And you have no choice. You have to watch the film again, and then you watch it again. You go, this is masterful because he did it in such a way. It wasn't a cheat. Some plot twists are a cheat. He actually still made it like practical with its own rules. He was a ghost the whole time. Spoilers if you didn't fucking see it.
Oh my God.
Shut up.
No.
I remember showing my friend recently. Actually, she had never seen the movie before, so I was like, "Oh, you're in for a treat." So I showed her the movie, and she's sitting here the whole time like something's off, and she's trying to figure it out. And then at the end, she figures it out, and she goes, "Oh my God, can we watch it again?" We watched it again. So it was fun, and that was me watching it again after a long period of time, and I was even like, "Wow, this is a masterful film."
Oh, Sixth Sense holds up.
Yeah, Sixth Sense holds up till today. It's not, and it didn't age badly. It doesn't, his skills were still there, and it made sense why it was such a breakthrough film for him. Such a breakthrough film for him that it just skyrocketed his career.
So what makes you think Get Out's going to be bad the second time or on DVD?
The atmosphere of the theater. I feel like even Jordan wrote, you have to see Get Out in the theater because you need that atmosphere.
Because I need to get paid. That's
right. Yeah, that's probably why.
He's all like,
the only way to watch my movie is in the theater. So the experience is different in theater.
Yeah.
And I think back in the comfort of your own home, it might not have the same impact, or you might not even take it as seriously. You know what I mean?
The idea that I went in with watching Get Out was the idea that it was going to be like a thriller / scary movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you thought it was going to be a split between thriller and scary movie? So you thought Michael Jackson and the Wayans brothers were going to come together?
I thought it was going to be like in the same Keanu universe since Jordan Peele directed it.
Yeah.
No, but I just thought it was going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more intense moments within the film, and I'm going to notice that watching it outside of the theater that, since I've already checked it out and I already know that what's going to go down, I'm going to have a different experience. Mm-hmm. I got to check out if it's going to be rewatchable, watching it a couple more times. Right. Well, to see if it's going to stick.
Keanu's a great example, like you said. Keanu in the theaters, we were in tears on the floor crying, like laughing. Yeah. And we had a really great time with the film. And then I watched it recently on my computer, showing it to somebody else, and it was like, it's still funny, but the impact is totally different. And it's not because I've seen the jokes before. It's really like, wow, it just doesn't have that same wow factor to it. I really feel like the theater is a form Like it has its own presence. Like I really wish I could have watched Back to the Future in the theater because of course they're gonna throw it back in the theaters like they do. Remember they threw in the Disney films. I went to see Lion King again in theater in 3D, and the impact was huge. It was a crazy experience. It's like, damn,
it's always going to be.
It's always going to be great.
Yeah.
But just the theater atmosphere.
It's like that's the classic already.
Yeah, it's already a classic.
I don't have to argue that one.
But being in the theater and in 3D, it was like, wow, I forgot. Like this is an incredible experience.
Even a movie with a great soundtrack really sells the point. I mean, a lot of people love Guardians of the Galaxy mostly because of the soundtrack. The soundtrack is a great plus point to then what you have with a great movie on top of that.
Oh yeah, I remember last time I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, we all had blindfolds on. We didn't really want to see the film.
we were just there for the music.
Yeah, we were there for the music. We treated it more like a concert experience.
I went and I seen that movie that just came, Ghost in the Shell, and that has a very heavy synth, it's sort of like electric soundtrack to it, score.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I'm like I said, like you said, I'm glad I'm watching this in the theater because the big stereo system they have really made the ambience of that movie really.
Right, and I feel like it has its own form of impact. Another example, and then we'll stop harking on it. It can be a double example. My Napoleon Dynamite experience was in the theater, and completely unaware of what the film was. It was an accident. It was just like, let's just check it out. And that film blew me the fuck away.
Hilarious.
I couldn't stop like I was dying laughing, but that's because I had no expectation of what was going to happen. Yeah. And then Black Dynamite was the same. He went to see Black Dynamite.
Both Dynamites.
With no Dynamite with no like preconceived notion of what he's about to experience. It's just Black Dynamite looks weird. And then he's watching it and it is like it's killer. It's unbelievable. And in the theater, it was just its own experience. But then watching Napoleon Dynamite again on DVD later, even no matter the size of the screen, it was just like, this is funny, but it's not the same experience.
Napoleon Dynamite has that characteristic where you could watch it with somebody, but you want to watch it with someone who hasn't seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That can also ruin a movie experience because you think this is the greatest thing you've ever seen. Show it to someone who doesn't reciprocate it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know, maybe this movie does suck.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not as good as
maybe my taste is a little bad.
Yeah.
Even with Black Dynamite, the only thing I was able to check out in the trailer that it was just a parody on blaxploitation movies from the 1970s, and it involved Michael Jai White, who was doing kung fu in it. I was sold already.
I didn't know it was Michael Jai White. That's what made it even cooler. Because after a while, I just kept looking. I'm like, that's Michael Jai White. What the fuck?
Come on, smile. I am smiling.
I am smiling. Yeah, that's fucking fantastic. But that was a great experience. So go ahead.
So on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have movies that do terrible box office numbers, but then become a hit after their theater run. Mm-hmm. So movies like The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz only made $3 million on a $2.7 million budget.
Oh shit!
And despite the terrible numbers,
you don't break even in Hollywood.
Yeah, but when was that? That was in
1930. Had to be the 1930s. Mm-hmm. But despite the terrible numbers, it's still one of the most played movies in syndication on television today. Mm-hmm. It ended up scoring 2 Oscars, one for Best Score and Best Original Song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Mm-hmm. Another example Adrian's going to bring up right now is the 2010 Dredd movie?
Was it 2010?
Where the Judge Dredd movie, the recent one that came out was actually
just plain Dredd.
Dredd 3D. It was called.
Yeah, was panned at the box office, but became a hit with the DVDs, and then
amazing reception on DVDs and downloadable.
And that shared the same. It shares the same candle with John Wick. John Wick was just terrible box office numbers, but became such a success.
It's like a red
with
box
the DVDs,
hit or something, right?
Spawned a sequel, and that just killed it at the theaters. It's like the poetic justice it needed to make money up for the first one it came out with.
Right.
It's still in the theaters. It's been months.
Right.
Like a month or so.
Right.
There's even petitions to have a sequel to this Judge Dredd 3D.
There's been petitions. There's been fundraisers. There's been all this fan interaction to get a second movie, and it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's going to happen in comic book form.
Okay.
Which is kind of what people want, but at the
it's
same
a bit
time.
bittersweet.
Have you seen Dredd 3D?
I've seen a scene. and it was one of the dudes was on slow mo.
Yeah.
And everybody was having a gunfight, and I was like, "What the fuck?" That's actually the most genius way to introduce a slow mo gimmick to your film.
To introduce phantom cameras,
right? Like,
the whole drug that they were using, what was it called?
Slow-mo.
Yeah, slow mo. And there's this one scene where she's just chilling in the bathtub, and it puts that Inception slow mo water scene to shame because you just see like little droplets, and then those droplets are reflecting light off of it. It was just perfectly shot.
Visuals are insane.
Yeah, and people wouldn't take it serious because it's just like, oh, that's Judge Dredd. Like,
they think Stallone,
right? And they think campy '90s action.
What's wrong with Stallone?
And there wasn't anything wrong with that other film. It was ridiculous too. But Dredd. Even I'm victim of this situation because I saw Dredd. I was like, no, just no.
If a sequel doesn't happen, it'd be dreadful. Is this thing on? Oh, what is the whole show's
everyone left.
Wait.
But it definitely seems like one of those they flop in the box office, and we're in a modern situation to where we have streaming, we have Redbox and stuff like that. And I've been behind people at Redboxes where they're just like, I don't know, I'm just here right now. I don't even know what the fuck to watch. That looks Keanu Reeves, and then they pick John Wick. And then they have an experience, and they go, "Oh shit, I got to show my friends," and stuff like that. That's a
good point you bring up.
That's what's happening.
The idea that since streaming and Redbox and Netflix and a bunch of streaming services are taking over, theaters now know, or not theaters, but like production companies that release movies to theaters know that every movie that they need to make has to make an impact in the theater now, because otherwise you could just take it to streaming, cut the whole theater out, and still make money off the end because you're not distributing it to theaters. You don't have to make movie posters, any advertisements,
marketing, and
all that.
Digitally market it,
right, and run it. run social media.
Yeah, like Manchester by the Sea. Was that just that was an Amazon movie, right?
Was it?
Because that's all being displayed on Amazon now. But there's only Amazon original movies. All these streaming companies have their own service with. The Iron Fist. Iron Fist, there's a series of the Daredevil series. All these they know that they don't have to go to TV anymore. They don't have to go to the movies to end up killing it and making an impact there. So there's a lot of necessity to actually make it a hit in the theaters, because if not, there's always that alternative. There's that alternative, not for the movie companies, but for us to tune into. You know what I mean?
And it's kind of the convenience of it all will make you, even if you don't, like, you're thinking about going to the theaters, you can pretty much throw that out the window if you open up Netflix and see a bunch of stuff, and you're like, all right, we're just going to stay in and watch this. The convenience really does play a part.
Right.
And it's one of the last resorts where Adam Sandler's hiding.
Hey,
Adam Sandler loves making
they're giving Adam Sandler money.
They put all their Netflix had paid attention to all their numbers that were being made before it even blew up really big.
Yeah.
Like back when Netflix was just like, people, hey, check out Netflix. Before it was a household name.
Yeah.
They said Adam Sandler was the highest viewed movies that people were checking out from their data.
Oh wow.
And then they started throwing money at Adam Sandler, and
he made these half-ass movies.
They gave him a bunch of money to just make a bunch of
like as many movies as you want. I think he had a 6 movie contract or something like that. And it's whatever. He has his fan base, but that's another thing. It's like, there's all these little factors that could affect things. But I guess the discussion we're having is what makes a classic film, right?
Exactly.
So because you're talking about box offices that flopped and then huge cult following. Thing. I don't remember the numbers, but I know that the Thing was
The Thing,
yeah, the Thing. It was a flop. It did not do well in the box office at all. Nobody took it seriously. And then out of nowhere, cult following. And those things you can't. Did the Big Lebowski have the same situation? Flopped in the box office, cult following. Became a
VHS. It was a hit with the VHS and the DVD sales.
So I mean,
the Big Lebowski. There's a lot of Coen. There's a bunch of
Coenisms.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Coenites here.
Yeah, well, $4.62 million in the box office off a $15 million budget.
But the general consensus is that it tanked, but it actually recuperated their money with rental sales. So even with the other movie that I wanted to talk about too is the Shawshank Redemption. So off a $25 million budget, it made. Let me see. Flopped at the box office. Oh yeah, so it was a $16 million budget, but only made 25 mil.
Okay.
Or it's either the other way around. But it still flopped at the box office. But after TNT bought the rights to play it on television, a lot of people started paying attention to it. And even before that, it actually killed with VHS rentals.
Right.
And then it actually became the best picture for 1995, I believe. What was check the best picture for the accolades that it got? It was 1994's best picture.
Yeah.
Despite it being a bomb, and I watched it recently, like 3 months ago, and that movie's incredible. Like, a lot of people were telling me, you haven't watched it. It's like one of those movies where
haven't seen that?
People will slap you if you don't watch a movie. You're like, you haven't seen The Shawshank Redemption?
I did not know it was a Stephen King adaptation either.
Yeah, and
That is insane.
Stephen King's all over he's all over Hollywood,
yeah,
dude.
it's crazy because I watched it and I was like, it's one of those movies I was like, oh man, it ended.
Yeah,
like son of a bitch.
Didn't even feel the time passing, right? Now, with what you're explaining now, the flop in the box office and then the follow-up success, is this does this connect to your argument? Are you saying those are good examples of classic films getting appreciated in the right...
Exactly.
Like, no matter what, a classic film is going to get the respect it deserves.
Really, because you'll be able to... it's just like this. So many people have a look of shock when others mention movies like other bombs, like Blade Runner, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, both along the same lines of big budget, a little bit over their profit margin. To hear great movies like that being unsuccessful yet held in such high regard, it shows that classic movies are always going to be noticed, no matter what. It's going to be beyond what the figures say with the box office. It's going to be beyond the post box office numbers. It's just humans and people that just watch and like movies. The cream's going to rise to the top. It will become successful, no matter if it hits a hurdle, like being like sucking at the box office. It'll always come to fruition. It looks like, man, because Blade Runner, Blade Runner's the set design to Blade Runner is just one of those. It's crisp. It looks nice. The set design's incredible.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Now, my counter argument to what you've presented to the audience. All right, so when it comes down to a follow-up success, right? Cult followings or whatever. Sometimes the cult followings are just dumb, and it doesn't make the film better. Troll 2 has a cult following. It's one of the worst movies in existence. The Room has a cult following. I'm trying to think of Super Troopers. Super Troopers has a cult following. I'm not saying the movie is shitty, but that audience likes it for dumb reasons.
The audience is shitty.
The audience is shitty.
Yeah.
Because the film isn't masterful, and the film isn't top-notch comedy. It's just goofy stoner comedy.
Yeah, but here's the thing, dude. What makes a good movie ultimately is movies and art is all subjective.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no criteria to that. It's just if it resonates with people or not.
Exactly, but see that resonation
like
right there, that I believe it shares a quality that's similar to that of if Coca-Cola tastes good with you like a general consensus of it, it's always going to taste good no matter what throughout. If all those people that like Coke just die from diabetes because they drink so much of it, there's going to be new guys that are going to like this shit. So I'm saying, like a movie like Back to the Future, there's going to keep being fans of those movies,
and they're going to spread it virally, try to get as many people. Because when you see a good movie, like you said, you want somebody to see that shit.
Yeah.
When you have an experience, like I'm dying to get this hoe to watch Birdman. I'm like, he's got to watch Birdman.
I watched Birdman. Yeah.
And then we watched it. But I was like, watch Birdman. He's like, I kept trying to get him to watch Birdman. Yeah. Then I finally showed him. He's like,
the funny thing is that he, when at the end of Birdman, he's like, oh, okay, I got to use the restroom real quick. And then he comes back and I'm gone. And then he looks up at the sky and he's like, where'd he go? So even at the end of Birdman, we also had our own inconclusive ending.
We didn't know what to do. There was so much confusing post. But
it's just the one story you're all looking up to see if I jumped off, or even look below to see if I jumped off.
You've seen Birdman, right?
Fuck. So
he didn't get the joke. Anyway, but
to take an example with a crappy movie, like you were saying, The Room. The Room is a shitty movie.
Right.
But the idea that you're trying to say is that no matter what, people are gonna enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But it's in the context of having it.
I could
with critical acclaim, with it being good, because a good movie's gonna have that critical acclaim. Those are gonna go hand in hand.
Right.
But the only time it doesn't is when it's action movies.
But here's another weird way to break your concept or your logic. I think that The Room is a classic film because I can watch The Room at any time and laugh to tears at any time
because of how bad it is,
and it doesn't get old. It just doesn't get old. I'm like, I know what's going to happen, and I still go, how is this that funny to me still?
Yeah, but you're making it a clean slate by saying, okay, I know how shitty this is, but let's scoot that all the way and laugh. Let's just laugh at the bad production. Mm-hmm. That's not where you go to movies. You expect the production to be great.
Right.
You expect everything to be on point, but we're looking at this guy who's just like, I did not hit her.
This foreigner that had a lot of money and decided, I'm ready to make films.
You will not support Tommy Wiseau here on this show.
I'm just throwing counter arguments to get us talking. You know
by the way, next week, Tommy Wiseau is going to be our very esteemed co-host here on the Mark and Andre Show, discussing the great and powerful Room.
Now,
The Room.
Do you have any examples of what you believe to be classic films to kind of bring this into focus?
So, like I mentioned, Blade Runner.
Okay.
Blade Runner.
You personally believe it's a classic?
It's a classic sci-fi film.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now, why would you call it a classic?
It still holds up today in the sense of Blade Runner. It still holds up today with the effects that it uses, with the idea of dystopian futures, kind of being similar to what I expect what's going to happen in the future. Mm-hmm. I'd say the only error in this movie with the dystopian future is putting an ad for Pan Am, because Pan Am isn't even in existence anymore. Mm-hmm. But everything else, man, it's just you expect replicants to come around in the future. Mm-hmm. Like they make it seem logical for that to happen.
Right.
Another movie like even let's go into war flicks, Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Saving Private Ryan. Despite the fact that
groundbreaking scenes, depictions,
despite the fact that the Battle of Normandy scene has been duplicated like 20 times even before that movie came out,
it's become the standard of war.
It's the precedent,
but that seems like a new category you've introduced to declare classic.
Yeah,
so it's innovation.
Yeah, there's several factors.
And innovation.
Yeah, there's several factors that I have here. It's just originality.
What about 300?
Yeah, exactly.
They've created slow-mo action scenes,
right? That were practical, right?
Yeah.
And it became abused, like
or
that's even a better example. The fact that once it was done, everyone did it.
Yeah. So the originality was set with 300,
and then people realize, we can completely green screen an entire studio and shoot a whole movie.
Yes, and now we are saving a shit ton of money.
The
Pineapple Express is a classic to me. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah,
there's
originality still. Even with the originality, still like another.
Get Out.
Get Out. Yeah.
One thing, sitting and watching Get Out that made me feel good about it was that unlike reboots and retellings or whatever, like these old movies that we've seen before, I didn't have a expectation for it, and because of that, everything that happened surprised me or really won me over. Mm-hmm. And that right there's a classic. And
it had an impact on you.
It's funny because the point that I make the next with this is right place, right time.
Okay, that's
Get Out is one of those movies where it was just locked in, right in at the right place at the right time, amidst a lot of racial turmoil with African Americans and other minorities. It's just Get Out happened, and it was just a hit because you had this whole issue of this whole white black issue that it had inside it.
And it's so crazy how everybody went to see it.
Yeah.
Because, just even from the trailers, I was like, this is actually kind of edgy.
You will
I don't
get
think white
woke.
people are going to see this movie. and we were in the theater and there's white, black, mixed couples coming in. Like, this is awkward. So, without a doubt, Get Out, it was created at the right place, right time.
Yeah.
I would consider The Matrix to also be in that same category.
Right.
Because there seemed to have been some form of lull in action films, right?
Yeah.
Or I would even consider that The Matrix was one of the first times that you saw a highly intellectual premise attached to an action film.
Yeah.
Like
more sci-fi action.
At first it was sci-fi and people didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
People are like, oh, they're just kicking ass. But you're like, no, there's another world outside of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And there's floating ships. Yeah. And this is a futuristic dystopian society. But it was so subtle, nobody even knew. And the film was so over the top, over your head, that people didn't even know like what they were experiencing. Exactly. Then you go back and watch it again and go, wow, these guys are really like... The Wachowskis went way ahead of their time. Because I remember the first time watching it, and I just loved that it was an interesting film. Mm-hmm. And then I think every 2 years I kept going back to it, and I'm like, there are so many layers to what they were talking about. It's not even about the action. The action is like secondary or even tertiary. Like, you don't even give a fuck about the action. You're sitting there like, these fools found a way to create this highly relevant backstory to what could actually be possible.
That people still try to build off of in like message boards. Like, if you try to have someone... a Matrix savvy guy explain the ending or just explain how the Matrix works, or they'll be there just explaining it in detail, because that base of fans, not only do they like movies, but they're smart, man, and they're very savvy with what the idea of the Matrix is.
Yeah. Also, innovation, originality. First time they did the full 360 pan shot in slow-mo. Like a bunch of, and then I guess they've seen 360 rigs done before, but it was like they did 360 rigs with different levels of, like they put the cameras in different positions to have a swinging effect or whatever. So that kind of innovation that did not exist before. And then what happened? Everybody tried.
I think the chart goes with the originality and everyone duplicating it, and then when the Wayans brothers decide to make a parody of it, or whatever studio, like the Zuckers, or after that, it just goes back.
It just plummets down.
So, like, even with Scream is original horror movie, and then scary movie happened. Meet the 300 to then meet the Spartans. But it's
Twilight, Vampire.
It's nothing but a homage to that idea. So much that we like this, but let's take a funny spin on it.
It's cheap.
Exactly. It's a cheap grab, but it's still I would take it as a nod. Like they respect it so much that we like the idea, so we're just going to play around with it a little bit.
Well, I guess one thing I want to kind of touch on, because since you brought those films up, they're popular, right? Popular films do not equal classic films. Twilight is not a classic film series, but is one of the most popular film franchises ever. I don't think Harry Potter's a classic series, but
it's a lot of profitable as hell.
Now we have to get into the question of, well, what sets the standard of film? Because we like high caliber film. Some people don't. They just don't get with that kind of shit. Like Annie Hall. First of all, Woody Allen's like one of the best film makers ever. Annie Hall is one of Woody Allen's films. I'm pretty sure you guys haven't seen it.
Jeez Louise, I haven't watched a Woody Allen flick.
It's the first film. It's the first comedy to ever win an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah. And basically, imagine like the amount of effort a Coen film has in regards to new shots, new concepts, new style. Woody did a weird shot where he started a conversation with his buddy, and they're like 2 blocks down the road, and the camera is 2 blocks this way. So the camera is locked onto their position, and you don't know where they are, and you just hear them talking, and then they keep walking until they get to that point. It's like a 3 or 4 minute scene. So at first you're just sitting there looking at scenery, and you think it's a scenery B-roll, and you hear them talking to each other, and then you see like eventually they walk into frame. That's one simple weird shot. There's another shot where like the film was so weird and cerebral, right? So there's a scene where he's debating like he's talking to his girlfriend, and this guy starts talking shit about a movie that he doesn't know about, right? And Woody Allen, out of nowhere, just looks at the camera. I hate these kind of people. Like, why? He doesn't know anything about this director. He doesn't know anything about... And the guy breaks the fourth wall with him, and he comes out and he goes, well, in my opinion, I think this and that. And like, okay, where are we going right here? Like, everything's kind of gone nuts. And then he says, you don't know anything about this artist's work. And that actual director or whatever comes out and goes, yeah, you know nothing of my work. I was talking about this. And then he walks out of frame, and then he goes, Woody goes, wouldn't life be great if that kind of shit happened all the time? And like, it's such a cerebral and unusual film. I hated it. The first time I saw it, I was like, I don't fuck with this. This is so weird, I don't get it. And I love weird shit. And then I came back to it, watched it again, and I started to digest it more, and I realized this is really highbrow film. Like, this is top of the line film. Like, this is over the Oscars' head, you know? And then the more I enjoyed it, the more I had a breakthrough, similar to you with the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
So most people would hate Annie Hall. They would not consider it a classic because they don't get it. Like, Annie Hall is really hard to get into. But once you get it, you can't deny it's one of the greatest comedies ever written. What defines a classic? Through the eyes of other people. Because my mom is a huge Tyler Perry fan. She thinks everything he makes is classic. I'm not joking now.
Yeah.
So
he's not.
She thinks Tyler Perry's like this groundbreaking filmmaker.
Oh my god.
Dude, she rents like when she still rents movies, right?
Right.
She still goes to the Red Box and
come back with some. There's black people on the cover, that type of shit. So when it comes down to it, it's like she thinks like one of the best works in black film is like Friday or something. Just exaggerating, but that's how she perceives it.
Yeah.
Anything by F. Gary Gray?
Yeah. So I mean, some cats like think Boys in the Hood is one of the greatest classic films ever.
Good movie.
It is a good movie, but you can't convince that person to watch Annie Hall. You can't convince that person to watch Birdman.
Dude, that'd be a movie in itself to actually, like, in a world where you have to persuade your white grandpa to watch Boys in the Hood with you. Or, like, the other way around. Like, geez, I'm not going to watch Boys in the Hood with you.
I'm not going to watch Boys in the Hood.
No, I'm not going to watch that movie with you.
So, I mean, what sets that standard? Because certain people enjoy entertainment on certain levels.
Yeah.
There are people that think that Michael Bay is a phenomenal, groundbreaking director. And
look at the most profitable franchise of all time. The Fast and the Furious franchise is now...
But we can't use profit. Like, that's what we said. We can't use profit, and we can't use popularity.
But in the terms of a mainstream audience, I would say. So that is one of those... like just to bring it out there for the sake of this argument, despite it making tons of money here and there at that time and killing it with the rentals probably, but and after that it's just that was just another Fast movie. Right. It just goes without saying. It's crazy.
How many films can you watch forever?
How many films?
Yeah, what films off the... And I hate doing that.
That's a good question.
But what film off the top of your head can you watch forever? Like, you could keep watching
Ridiculous. Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy?
Something like that.
Okay.
It's ridiculous for everyone else because I can watch Black Hawk Down. I can watch Saving Private Ryan forever and not get tired of it.
Yeah.
Like most people can't even sit down. Like Big Lebowski, I can watch Big Lebowski all over and over.
Oh man, I can watch
Mark over here.
Jesus.
Fucking like
you like taking naps, don't you?
See? It's so subjective that it's hard to make a criteria for it.
Yeah, like even with me and I would say the lowest thing on that totem pole would be, to me, Half Baked.
Okay. Half
Baked is something I could rewatch. It's one of those, it's one of those movies I could rewatch all the time. But then, you go with me, it's just Ip Man, Blade Runner, T2, Tyson. That movie Tyson I could watch all the time.
Yeah, Terminator 2
Predator.
is a perfect example.
Bunch of action flicks. I mean, even Saving Private Ryan, Gladiator. Back to the Future, the whole trilogy, the whole one single movie, I would think.
right.
There's just tons of them, man. But like I said, those movies, a guy who is a sci-fi head who doesn't like action movies will still enjoy Predator, or even with someone that just enjoys 1980s like 16 Candles-esque movies will still enjoy Back to the Future because it still has that vibe, despite it being about time travel.
Okay.
There's if a movie can speak to everyone and is able to get away of its own genre, get away from its own bubble of people who are only gonna like sci-fi or action movies. If it actually goes to that tier, and a lot of people are still into it, but then if it goes outside that bubble, it's like, fuck, this shit is a hit. Everyone likes it. It's been 20 years. We still have to keep coming with like 5-year releases of this movie
because people are still in such high demand.
The DVD and the Blu-ray of Back to the Future is the 25 and the 30th
right
anniversary edition. It's just crazy stuff, for example, like that.
Okay, that's and good.
Even one more I have, and I'll use this one as a humorous example, but it's still true. Something that speaks to the whole nation. Independence Day. Independence Day is a movie that isn't really good, but it still
has its impact.
Yeah, exactly.
You can still sit down and just watch that shit.
To where the president is like, "This is our Independence Day for the world. I'm gonna help you guys out. I'm in a plane. I drove a plane when I was in the Air Force. So the president's joining in.
Fighting.
It's just
the most American fucking propaganda.
Smith socks out an alien.
Every person on the planet is listening to the same announcement from the American president.
Oh my God.
Like no other country's president is speaking up. They're letting the American president. We shall declare today Independence Day again, some more. Like it's already Independence Day.
And
Like,
watching
Right.
it in the theaters, you're like, fuck.
and it's huge impact.
I remember the trailer. It just shows something's gonna happen on Independence Day, and all of a sudden, a big laser hits the White House, and everything blows up.
And that's like
That made that-
you're not supposed to attack that, shit like that.
You guys see the new one?
He did.
Oh, dude, it
He
was.
fucking did.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that
I
was
did.
terrible.
You don't even want to put.
I don't
your
even
name
like,
on it.
dude.
It was.
Because I'm at a point now, like this is you want to. I guess the best way to identify a classic in a weird way now is just to see what gets rebooted. Whatever's getting soft rebooted, whatever's like Jurassic Park, the first one and only the first one was groundbreaking. The CG still looks good. How is that possible?
Yeah, that's pretty.
It still looks realistic because they didn't abuse it.
Even the
But-
T-Rex scene.
yeah, like
after
wow,
all
and
that.
it was a perfect blend of animatronics and CG, and it's perfect. It's perfect film. It's just
Like all the
it's a
quotes
kid's
from
adventure.
Follow down.
It's a scary kid's adventure. You know what I mean? It's a violent, frightening kid's adventure.
Big Nugs.
Comments?
Oh yeah, so the last two movies that were good to him is the Hotel Transylvania series. Yeah, good animated series that actually got to a lot of critical acclaim. Forrest Gump, won Best Picture over Shawshank.
For some reason, they're playing Forrest Gump Marathon on AMC today.
Blade
Okay.
Yeah.
Runner
Sure.
2049 is getting that reboot. Yeah, I'm
That's
only
gonna
watching
be
it because
not-
of Harrison Ford's in
nah,
it.
it's-
Hey, I love Waterworld, even though it bombed. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies, mostly thanks to the stunt show, but the movie's still good.
Okay.
The Waterworld movies, it actually made a little bit of a profit, but you're talking like a $195 million budget over, I think it was like a $215 million box office. So it just, but that movie is almost all on water.
Right. That's not
There's a
easy.
lot of drama that we explained it in, I think it's like episode 30 something, but we explained that Waterworld had a lot of drama going into it. Waterworld had, Kevin Costner stayed in a $3,000 a night yacht. In order for someone to use the restroom, they'd have to take them off that little makeshift island and take them on an island where the restrooms were at. There's a lot of, trust me, there's a lot of P's and Q's, and
That's fucking ridiculous. That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
trust me, there's
Now
tons
you
of
can
stuff.
shoot a movie, like we said, in a green screen.
Exactly.
Studio.
And be done with
Even
it.
the set, that whole the whole set in Waterworld actually sank, and it cost,
What the
I think it cost six figures to $1 million for them to bring it back up from the surface. So these guys were playing Waterworld even when they weren't filming, So there's tons of stuff, and even I think that's why Universal Studios actually kept Waterworld as a stunt show, because they were assuming it was going to make a profit.
They're still trying to pay themselves back.
We got to make our money back, brother. All the season passes.
Doug said Marvel will not make an Oscar.
Don't
No.
push.
Those are movies that people love and that are
But
huge box office.
Civil War and the Captain America joints, those were close, man. Captain America movies are getting...
Yeah, but those are still movies that, like, I can't sit there and watch a whole marathon of those movies.
Right.
Yeah, those are... You can't... That's too much action.
They're popcorn as fuck, though. There isn't. I don't watch a Marvel film with expectations of depth. Like,
Yes, exactly.
We're not gonna go deep. I thought Doctor Strange was the closest thing to attempting to go really deep, and even then, it was a pretty shallow film.
I need to see that one. Man.
Oh,
That's a
man.
good one.
That's a theater movie.
It's one of those...
It is a theater movie. I just watched it recently with my pops, trying to show him the movie. He fell asleep. I was like, "This movie is bomb. Why the fuck did he fall asleep?" So
Where are all the guns at?
Yeah.
It's one of the only Marvel movies that doesn't have a gun in
because
it.
it's really psychedelic. It's a really psychedelic film. You'll love it. Yeah.
So
So I have... For me, a couple factors. I'll just name and then we'll...
you want to read these comments?
Yeah, of course.
So we have an agreement. John and Nug saying fuck Twilight.
Twilight, nice.
Friday's a classic. Anthony Hopkins
called Bay a genius. Or a genie. Imagine if you actually meant genie. No, we know what you meant, John.
Nug said, I think a classic standard gets established by how many people can relate to it in an emotional, mental feels.
And so all right. So John brings Suicide Squad won Best Makeup, and they beat Marvel on Rotten Tomatoes with probably a few movies.
Don't fuck with Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is
Rotten Tomatoes really.
We could do a whole conspiracy corner on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes has a whole.
There's a lot of bullshit with Rotten Tomatoes. But okay,
with me, let me just name some factors off before we do a little round table of what we think makes a classic. To me, and I wrote these in the key points and to bring them out real quick. It's originality, right place at the right time, something that actually speaks to the whole nation. That can play a factor too. What about you, Andre? What do you think?
At this rate, I'm looking for something that's groundbreaking. I'm always constantly trying to get my mind blown.
Yeah.
And maybe, we are in a day and age where we've asked for so much that things have kind of gotten out of hand and they don't know how to fulfill the need. But the independent film scene is giving me exactly what I'm looking for every single time. Sundance is where you go to get your mind blown. But if you don't want to use Sundance as, the ground to define a classic film, like I said, if it's the rewatchability. The fact that if you watch it and then come back and watch it with new eyes, you can get a whole new experience. Black Swan is a classic to me because it's actually it's 3 different movies in one movie. And when you learn what the second movie inside the movie is, you can't stop watching it because you go, holy shit! Her dance director is the devil, and she is representative of innocence. And as the film goes on, whatever. And as the film goes on, she goes from like wearing white to gray to black, and then she dies. And that was basically her. Like the whole film was giving you visual cues all the way through.
You just spoiled it for me.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No. God. Well, Natalie.
But even then, if you watch the film, shut up. Watch that shit anyway.
I want to watch it.
I
just watched it. Thanks.
No, you didn't. You really didn't. You really didn't because everything I said is the symbology.
You just did Die Hard.
The actual film you're going to see is going to be like nothing I just said, and you're going to go, "What was Dre talking about?" Then you have to watch it again.
So you get like people talking about that movie, but talking about the face value of what the movie is.
Yeah, everybody's experiencing like the first layer.
Yeah,
and then there'll be like metaphysicists and cats that are like, I've been in symbology classes, and this is actually this deity from Greek mythology, and this is somebody from Roman mythology. And then when you actually do the work yourself and connect the dots, you get a whole new movie. And it's complete. Huh?
What, Black Swan?
He did The Wrestler.
Well, I don't know.
Stanley Kubrick? Nah, Stanley Kubrick.
Damn.
He did the moon landing.
Yeah, he did the moon landing. So you basically spoiled Black Swan by saying that she kind of does what John McClane did in Die Hard, where she wears clothing and then it like somehow all comes off, and then she dies.
Scott,
Darren Aronofsky.
Thank you, Darren Aronofsky. Fantastic direction too. So the actual film itself is enough to enthrall you just with his directing skills.
Requiem.
Requiem too.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream is a classic without a doubt.
He did Jackie, the Jackie.
And
Jackie Kennedy.
Jackie was a great film. Jackie was.
You actually watched the Jackie Kennedy?
Yeah, I saw Jackie. I watched that because I was like, I'm just bored and curious. And then I watched it. I was like, fuck, Natalie Portman scares me.
Did she do a good job as Jackie Kennedy?
Oh my god.
Did you see Pi?
No, I did not.
Oh my god, that one's a classic.
And I heard I need to watch that one.
That is definitely a movie you need to watch.
Wes Anderson films. Wes Anderson films, he's a bit pretentious. He's a bit. A lot of people praise him. They give him a lot he's a bit overrated. But when you watch his films, his level of detail is what is remarkable and what keeps you watching. Anyway, just to answer your question, because I feel like I'm rambling. What defines a classic is just the rewatchability, the layers, the detail. There are some films, we always talk about it, Back to the Future is one of the most detailed films you could ever watch. It's like there was no shot out of place. There was no object out of place. Everything had a meaning.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And then just a great directed film overall without all that other shit.
Even the ability to tell time travel and keep it condensed so the general audience can
that
grab a hold of
kids
it.
And families can understand it. So that factor. And I don't know, I guess if it does something so innovative, it's just like earth shattering. I thought Birdman was great just because of his technique. The technique was he ran the whole film like a one shot. Everything looks like it's one shot, but it's like everybody can do that. He was doing shots that didn't make sense though. I was like, watch this shot, and he did some impossible ass shot with made it look like a one take, and we couldn't figure out how he did it because it requires you to go through bars and windows. You can't get a big camera through bars and windows with this trick he did. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff, he was doing mirror shots. It was all a long one take, and he's going the camera's in a position where there's a mirror, so you'd have to see the camera. How did you do that? It was almost a magical film, But
it was going to get really magical when Edward Norton was going to bang Emma Stone, but we didn't get that.
We didn't get the whole experience.
Yeah. Edward Norton kind of plays. It's crazy because Edward Norton
almost plays himself.
Edward Norton, Vince Vaughn, and there's got to be one other. There got to be one other guy that just plays that one same character. Because I just realized Edward Norton when I was watching Rounders, it's the card counting movie. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Edward Norton's been doing this in Fight Club. He's been talking the same in the Hulk.
Same time. Oh, fuck, Fight Club.
And then I'm like,
I just forgot about Fight Club.
and I'm like, he shares the same air, but I think Edward Norton has more range because Vince Vaughn can be Vince Vaughn only within comedy, semi-comedy dramas. But damn, Edward Norton could take it up a notch. Dude. He was good in Birdman.
Fantastic in Birdman. Requiem for a Dream. The best example I can give for a classic film because it was so like mind-shattering the first watch that you have no choice. You got to watch it again.
It's one of those ones that bombed at the box office too.
And then
Oh, was it?
yeah, because it was such the name.
Yeah.
Like how Arrested Development bombed. People just didn't like the name. Seriously. That's all it was.
Tag team didn't bomb. They did pretty good.
Well, what about you? What defines a classic film for you?
Right
From your standards, you know.
Well, right now I think that question is kind of being you kind of have to redefine what makes a classic movie, especially in today's sort of movies right now when we're getting nothing but reboots and
No new ideas.
throwaway movies. Dude.
Right.
But like you said, the resonance, if it changes the way you perceive the rest of your day, that makes a good movie.
When it goes off and you go, fuck.
Yeah.
Right? When you're just sitting there like, wow.
Yeah.
You sit there, you want to watch it again.
Right.
Originality. Like what I heard about Birdman was not that it was a good movie, is that the way it was filmed,
Yeah.
or the way that the director was able to do
Some
certain tricks and
impossible
stuff.
shit.
Same thing with this movie Death Sentence. The way this guy filmed this movie Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon, amazing. Like this guy has who was it again? He really innovative shots and his directorial eye is just mind blowing. That makes movies stay close to my heart because it's out of the realm of what standards are, and it's actually creating a whole new way to make, write, direct, even score.
Pushing the envelope.
Exactly that, right? Pushing the envelope.
Right. And I think mainstream film is so stagnant when something new comes up or when somebody tries something new, it's just holy shit.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying like Sundance is where everyone should at least just do one Sundance in your life. Just because every film will be on a Birdman level. Every film, because they're all trying something that mainstream film is afraid to do. You know, sometimes like, what if we did the film from the perspective of someone's mouth, and the camera's in their mouth?
Yeah.
What the hell? Why would I watch that? And then fuck
it
around and it's
becomes great.
amazing. You know?
My friend Justin works at Videotown when I'm over at Game Swappers, and there was this one time I was just hanging out, and then he was giving a few recommendations to a lady, and he was like, yeah, this movie's good, and then he mentioned another independent film. Went the same route that you're describing. It went via Sundance and then got theatrical acclaim after to major theaters.
Right.
And she was like, no, that movie's okay, but you like those weird movies.
Right.
And as soon as she left, I was like, yeah, man, he was like, you like those weird movies, those independent, successful independent films, those
smart films.
I told her, I was like, those critically acclaimed films, you like those weird movies. And we just started laughing because me and him share, like, he's the type of friend that we'll always talk about for like 20 minutes about, have you seen this? Have you seen that? We'll just pinball back and forth about just what haven't we seen? What should we watch? Because I trust his judgment about movies.
Going to the video store like Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, me and my brother, we'd see the new movies that are on the shelves, like the new releases, and go pick and choose from there. But it got to the point where we'd go and we'd only sort of scan the movies that had the Sundance seal or anything that has the awards.
Those little things on the
little
side.
ribbons.
So we'll actually go around the Hollywood Video or something and pick out all these, like a handful of movies that are, all right, this one won this one won this, we should check this out, and then take them home and watch it.
And then sometimes these films push the envelope in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's like, okay, that was just violent and gruesome, I'll never watch that again. Other times, like, I never knew you could pull off that many shots that creatively. There's a film called Mr. Nobody.
Let me look up the movie that I want to talk about real quick.
Unbelievable. Jared Leto. Of course, it's basically Jared Leto's. It's like Jared Leto. It's like Requiem for a Dream because it feels the same because Jared Leto's in the main position.
Yeah.
And the film's concept is this: every decision he makes creates a new reality, and he lives it through, and you watch it.
Really?
Yes.
Now,
And it's directed with that Requiem for a Dream style, so everything is symbolic, all these different shots. It's on Netflix. So Mr. Nobody's on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix right now?
Oh my God. Please watch it now. Mr. Nobody's going to fuck your mind up. Because when you first start watching it, you got to get accustomed to the world you're in. And then once you figure out what's happening, you're stuck.
That's what I like about a movie. When you can get...
When they don't hold your hand.
Yeah. But not only that, when you get enthralled into a world that they're presenting to you.
Yeah.
Then you get acclimated to it and you're like, all right, well, nothing's going to surprise or really ruin this for me because I can see that it's within the context of this world that they're in.
Right.
Yeah.
No Country for Old... Wait.
No.
Not No Country for... Children of Men.
I
Children
heard.
of Men.
That was one of the movies that I was going to see if about mentioning, but I was like, well, let me go to this other sci-fi because not a lot of people know about that. Was it... who's in it?
British dude.
Yeah, I forget.
Clive
Owen, yes.
Clive Owen. And the way the film starts, he goes in, gets his coffee, comes out, coffee shop explodes.
Yeah.
And that's your introduction. And in that scene alone, which was probably like a 6-minute scene, all one take,
yeah.
they did enough exposition to tell you what year it was, what the situation is, who he is, and what's going on.
Yeah.
In 6 minutes. Like, in a one-take shot, that was beautiful.
There was a
master level film.
I was when I was going through the Goodwill, I got a few laser discs, and there was a bunch of action flicks in it. There was Rambo 1. There was Rambo 1 and 3. Oh yeah, well, First Blood and then Rambo 3. It's like crazy how they call it that. But then they had Young Guns 1 and 2. I got those. But then they had this movie called Low Life, and I wasn't gonna get it. But then I got suckered in by the reverse Sundance. I just had a bunch of critics say voted one of the top 10 films of the year, and then they had this one that was like extraordinary, timeless. The only good thing about the Low Life was Sean Astin's role. Sean Astin's the guy that plays Rudy. It's one of the Lord of the Rings hobbits. Mm. Great actor, but it's like, man, that was the only good thing about it. And I got suckered in by having it have the quotes.
Advertising on the box.
And I'm like, damn, like some guy in some news anchor in Maine suckered me in to say that because he thought it was good. But man, dude, the Low Life was trash. Despite it had this like kids font, like the movie Kids, it had all that look to it. I got suckered in by the vibe. I got worked hard, man.
But you obviously experienced the film and you realize it's not a classic. No matter all the bullshit claim on the box.
Despite all the claim on the box.
So, I mean, it is up to interpretation, but I feel like, if a person wants... I guess to be as direct as possible, I want my film to expand my mind. Yeah. To stimulate it.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to watch Michael Bay blow shit up for 3 hours. Transformers 3 fucked my brain up. We were in theaters and it was just like, wow.
The beginning
I
space
don't care
scene
anymore.
where it goes they're all in Cybertron and everything. And then the cool thing about Dark of the Moon was just the conspiracy angle of it. And I was like, okay, cool. There actually was aliens on the moon. And I was like, okay.
But after a while, you're just sitting there like, none of this has a purpose.
They took that away. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, none of this means anything. Like, that's what happened. You're watching like, I don't feel anything anymore. I've grown numb. But watching a film like Whiplash, once it ended, you were like, oh, like you just got off a roller coaster. Yeah. That was an experience.
The car crash at the end of Whiplash, they could have done something else to hinder him from actually trying to make it there. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like it was kind of out of place, a little too much.
I don't think it's justified because he went that crazy. Yeah. He was that psycho to the point where he was delusional. Because the fact of the matter is no spoilers, but he made a decision after getting in that car crash that made that's not humane. That was not a humane decision he made. Mm-hmm. And then of course it led to a bunch of drama. But one of I would say the most intense films I've ever seen without a death. Without murder, action, without no form of action. It's like you are sitting there sweating for this character because is that the drummer?
Right? Is that the drummer movie?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like, but
that was a basic consensus.
Yeah. So it's the drummer.
It's in the Drumline universe.
Yeah. It's just Nick Cannon getting pressured. No, seriously, it's one of those films that what we were just saying right now. Like you see how we were like kind of getting excited because it was a thriller. This film could be categorized as a thriller in a sense because it has you on the edge of your seat the whole movie. You're so like your heart is pounding for this drummer. The stakes are that high to us. That's what the film did to you. It's like it makes you go, if anything goes, because it's like if he plays one note wrong, something's gonna happen. You fucked everything up. You cannot mess up anything, and Yeah, now I gotta show him Whiplash.
Dude, watch Whiplash. It's honestly really good.
Whiplash will fuck you up.
And it's one of those you sit down and it's over like that.
And then, but the way the film ended, it knew what it was, because once that conclusion took place, you're left with silence, and you're just mind blown. Yeah.
The best thing about it, especially the topic we're talking about here on the Mark and Andre show, we're talking what makes a movie a classic. We're gonna wrap this up here.
You guys have asked them what makes a movie a classic.
To anyone in the comment section, let us know to you what makes a classic.
Londa said right now it's Get Out for me. Last week it was
Apocalypse Now.
Before that, The Thing.
Apocalypse Now, I watched it recently too. The movie blew, like, it's one of those war movies that isn't all about the full throttle section of war where it's just people with automatic machine guns and all that. It's just the psychology of aftermath after like even the fallout just at the tier end of Vietnam. Good stuff. Even a movie like Jarhead, a lot of people went into Jarhead thinking that it was going to be about war. No, this is just the boring time of war where you're just there in the Middle East waiting to get sent back. So
damn, that's like suspense right there, huh?
That is suspense.
Exactly. So even even Landa chimes in. It's like not all about war. It's right. Apocalypse Now, even that war in that movie is just an afterthought.
Landa was saying that the theatrical, I believe, is a good movie, like Apocalypse Now, but I believe he said it was the director's cut that was shot like a horror movie, which gives it a totally different feel and emotion and tone.
One thing that I didn't enjoy about it, I knew Marlon Brando was in it, but I heard there was a bunch of issues with Francis Ford Coppola trying to get a sense of control with Marlon Brando, but despite that, he's not really... You couldn't control him back in the day. Like, as Vito Corleone in The Godfather, there's tons of issues with that, but in this one, he was supposed to be skinny, but he ended up coming on set big. So that's why in all those scenes, they had him all in darkness, doing the monologues, and it's just there's a tons of issues with that movie. But even with that being said, Marlon Brando still knocked it out of the park, even with the brief role that he had in the movie.
He ended up saying that the theatrical is edited like a horror movie. Damn.
Yeah, it is true. It's still crazy, man. Martin Sheen killed in that movie. You know what? The best thing about being alive now is that we still have more time to find out and more time to watch more classic movies.
Yeah, you could watch shit
That's
like
the best part.
Bad Lieutenant and get your mind blown.
With Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
People have to stop having that like sour taste with Nicolas Cage.
No,
because you know what?
No. Okay, so Bad Lieutenant is what happens when you have the right director with the right campy actor. He knew exactly what to do with Nicolas Cage. I almost feel like he wrote it and was like, Nicolas, I got to get him in there. Because the character he's a bad lieutenant, no joke. He's just this coked out lieutenant, and he just does fucked up things all the time. And it's one of those, I'll call them precious films, when like by the end of the film, nobody won. Like, you just sit there and go, what the fuck was that? What was the point? Right. That's Requiem. So it was, Bad Lieutenant is just, you go on this journey and then it ends. And you go, it couldn't have been done without Nick. You needed Nicolas Cage for this film. And it's not bad campy. It's like accurate campy. He's coked out. He's crazy. He's pulling guns on people and fucking their girlfriend right in front of them in public outside.
I think the campiness...
crazy stuff.
The ideal, like, if an actor has that title with them... I believe that if he wins or he or she wins a best actor Oscar, that gets negated. I say if you have the experience to win a best actor,
best Oscar,
like an Oscar win, like if you win the best actor Oscar, that's negated now. You're officially you're held in high regard. Nicolas Cage has the 1995 best actor Oscar for. They'll figure it out in the.
They know.
Regardless of what he's won or what he hasn't won, he was Cameron Poe in Con Air.
Yeah,
you have a special place in my heart.
Face Off, Castor Troy. Anyway,
Law said Francis Ford Coppola understood that Brando is uncontrollable, so he rolled with it. He also said Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel, I hear is good too. I was going to say that.
Cool.
The Bad Lieutenant you're talking about was a reboot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Harvey Keitel was in the original one, and what about reboots back in the day that we've seen?
I don't know. I mean,
The Thing is a reboot.
It is.
The Thing you're talking about.
Yeah. So that is a good question because reboots were done with a different type of heart. Reboots today are manipulations of a sort.
310 to Yuma, the reboot of that's good.
Yeah, 310 to Yuma, but
With Christian
Bale and Russell Crowe, that one's high, dude.
but the reboot of damn it, Coen Brothers, Cowboys and shit, the movie.
True Grit.
True Grit, thank you. True Grit. The Magnificent Seven was a reboot, but I didn't like it because it wasn't the authentic Magnificent Seven, and it was based on the Seven Samurai, so it's like a reboot of a reboot of a reboot. So yeah, I guess that's a good question. Older reboots, they have their place, but they were made with the director and the studio with like a level of concern. Like, I love this film so much, I would like to reinterpret it. But nowadays it's like, what works and what will get us paid.
Yeah.
Oz. So Old Boy.
Horrible. The reboot.
The reboot. The original Old Boy is monumental. I would never think that we would try to Americanize it, but we did. And it was a mess. It was painful. But this was obviously, everybody likes this Japanese film. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Just do the same thing.
Why is that? Because people can't digest a foreign film?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's really what it is.
I think what started that trend again back in the 2010s was actually the late 2000s. I'll rather say the late 2000s is The Departed, because The Departed was taken from a Japanese drama, but it was a fucking hit.
That was a good
but they put it in the right hands, though.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're not willing to do that anymore. They don't trust the casual viewer to read subtitles. Last time they did that, to my knowledge, I know they probably did more, was either Ong Bak, The Protector, or it might have been Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah. Where it was a monumental success with subtitles. It was either Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Hero.
I think it was Crouching Tiger.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. My uncle was like, you guys have to watch it. Uncle Mark was like, you guys should come with me, we're watching this shit.
Right.
I guess he already watched it once and he just took his back.
And I think I remember the ads were better than The Matrix, and all that crazy shit.
Landa says the new release of It scares the shit out of me. You need 5 hours to tell that story.
Oh, see, yeah.
Can you believe this all started with Starsky and Hutch?
Reboots.
Even let's go into this next segment.
Yeah, we get lost in the movie.
I swear we should just have our own podcast show about films, man.
This is the only film, entertainment, and conspiracy theory.
Yes, you're right, Adrian. This is the only film, entertainment, conspiracy theory podcast on Spreaker.com, streaming exclusively on Mr. Stream Thing GTP. The Mark and Andre Show, episode 65, A Quest for Peace.
For that ass. I'm
Kang, Andres Kodos, and we're here looking at overlooking planet Earth with making a peace sign across North America, and we're here drooling and laughing about it above our spaceship.
So, with our wrestling.
Yeah, in with the topic being said about peace. There's been this idea that when I was a kid, everyone wanted this idea of world peace. Mm-hmm. And they made it seem so attainable. Mm-hmm. And getting older and becoming a little bit more wiser, watching a lot more movies, reading a few books here and there,
one book or two,
leads me to believe that the idea of world peace is so far-fetched now from when we were younger. Like the older we get, the more distance we get to that idea, and now it looks like an oasis and a mirage.
Mm-hmm. But I guess the growing up is also attached to technology blossoming.
Technology. It's all technology. Open your eyes to how big the world actually is.
Would you guys?
Thank you. Wow.
Would you guys consider technology to be one of the attributes to one of the factors saying that we might not achieve world peace?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
I would agree as well.
Because, at this rate, I'm trying not to get conspiracy about it. I'm trying to be really direct.
No,
actually.
That's our gimmick.
I'm really trying to be direct, though.
That's our gimmick, man. You got to go with it.
Well, because it's a very specific question. I feel like I'm going to go in the wrong direction. But I'm saying
it's a conspiracy. It's anything.
I guess we are in a day and age where if we manage to find some unanimous agreement, everyone's at peace, all the nations and countries are working together in harmony. The internet has enough power to simply divide us, because they do it with just showing videos of black kids getting shot by white people. That's all they have to do is to divide this one country. So I'm sure, I mean, and you see if you go on Facebook or whatever, there's always somebody exposing somebody, like somebody or someone. You know, Trump did this in 1980. He shouldn't be president.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, you know, you see that all the time.
Scrolling on your Facebook feed, you see someone baking something, someone catching someone on hidden camera.
Right.
Or someone getting their ass beat.
Right. All the time. So imagine we are in harmony, everything's good with our nations. That doesn't mean that we all as citizens will fall under the blanket. There's obviously going to be rebel groups. There's always going to be a rebel group. There's always going to be defectors.
Someone anti to the idea of peace.
No matter what. Period. You can't even have a basketball team without one fucking dude like, oh, I hate these guys.
Yeah,
you know?
2000 Lakers.
Right. So I don't want to be negative. I don't really think it's possible because of our internet and the technology we have today. It will fuck
This
it all
is
up.
the quest for peace. Well, let's find it here on this show. By the end of this show, there's going to be world peace. I promise you that. Put a big asterisk right there on that
By
statement.
world, circle it.
But yeah, you're totally right, Andre. Because with the addition to the internet in our lives, there's networks that we have the ability to watch that we shouldn't even be watching.
Right.
I don't know why people still try to tune into Al Jazeera when there's a lot of graphic content. When we go on even our like social media feeds, there's people. There's all those select few people that like showing people dying.
Right. Let me share this.
And they think it's a good idea
Guy running from the cops shoots himself.
he needs justice.
Right.
Like, can you not show that part of it? It's like once you expose violence, once you get the ball rolling on that idea,
You express dysfunction, right?
Exactly, and then you express that whole you keep the negative ball rolling. Is
the
what
negative.
I mean.
What are you saying?
Yeah, that exactly. You keep the negative ball rolling.
Is it negative or is it realistic? Because you get this news filtered and spoon fed to you that everything is, at the same time, everything's good, we're safe, but it's terror all over the world.
Well,
everyone's
There's two separate ideas. Yeah, exactly.
But then again, the media, of course, has its own hand in all this shit. So, for example, we covered this in the past when that one chick live streamed her boyfriend getting shot in the car.
Oh yeah.
That was fake. That wasn't real. And it was obviously not real. When you start connecting the dots and showing placement of things and people, that was all staged, and she's an actress. And all right, so why would they do that? That's already weird. But let's not go into that hole. Let's just say that was fake, and the media deliberately made the scenario for some kind of purpose. What did that purpose entail?
Yeah.
Disruption.
And
everybody lost their shit because that was just traumatizing.
Yeah.
Despite it not being real, it was real enough to affect people. So I'm just trying to think on a world peace scale, somebody doing that. It would just divert people. It would cause because they would just say something along the lines of, we're not as peaceful as you think. These people are doing this to each other. Or they could do something as simple as all of our nations come together and somebody goes, well, this president did this to this country in the past. Or this,
just to instigate, just bring Jerry Springer to the UN.
A lot of instigation. and there's so many facts available, somebody can just connect some dots and cause disruption again.
But going back to what you're saying about the Facebook post that ended up being fake, a lot of people are still carrying that negative perception of certain like the police because of that moment alone, despite it being debunked.
Right.
So it even goes on to the the media actually preys on people not being aware of a lot of stuff that goes on. So despite it being debunked, some people might have animosity still towards that because they think it's real.
And the scarring is there, subconscious scarring.
We gotta find
because when I saw it,
we gotta
was
find
fucked
world
up.
peace.
But there's, I think a lot of people have that thing, and the thing is, when I saw that video, I was like, but something's off.
No. I'm thinking that you're alone in that sort of. Well, you're not alone. You're in a small percentage of people who think that way because most people think what they see is the truth.
Is the truth? Okay.
They take that.
I guess it was just me and Mark, and that is my immediate friends. Because when I did see, I was like traumatized, and I was like, "Well, that was weird. That didn't make compared to the other things I've seen. That just didn't work for me. Let me watch it again." And then, of course, down the road, digging in the hole, researching, it found out it was fake.
You also got to go to the fact that there's even some things that like even instances where the cops do something bad to someone of a minority. That is one small percentage of what generally is
what the population
law enforcement.
is.
Yeah, exactly. And the media gives you the idea that, okay, so anything after this is all a derivative of just cops being, every cop is fucked up. Mm-hmm. Everything, like all government is corrupt, and just, the different videos can work for different situations, but the media can get that idea across. And Landeb puts an idea out there. The news picks the dumbest stories off of the internet, then runs with it to get you to watch TV.
Oh, absolutely. Nice. Thank you.
He also said blood must spill for peace, so it's a snake eating its own tail, and people go to the internet to watch people dumber than them, and they think it's society as a whole. What?
We can go deep. Wait, are you good on time? Oh, you're good. Okay.
Called out today.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure our boy was cool.
No, we're good.
Okay.
He's made his choice.
No, that's actually a fantastic point. But here, see how easy that is? There's so many diversions. There's so many different things that could move or sway your opinion on things that you yourself would not be able to readily identify. So in the mass, I'm trying to bring it back to mass.
Yeah.
Because really what we're talking about is America. We're not even going that hard. So
Well, that's all we need to talk about.
world peace. Look, yeah, if America
This is all that matters, brother. The red, white, and blue.
what happens on a small scale happens on a large scale. So if America can't even get its shit together within itself, I'm trying to envision the world as America. And the entire world with nations, with thousands upon thousands of people, all being under the same blanket of peace, it's not a possibility because we can't get on the same page idealistically. Like, I mean, I might like my life to be a certain kind of way, and you like your life being a certain kind of way. How can we all have our own, like, how can we find balance? And it's not as simple as just accepting them for what they are, because you could be a mass rapist.
Yeah.
I can't just accept that because my morals aren't okay with you mass raping, and I don't want you mass raping in my area. You know what I mean? So for that case, because there are a lot of laws and concepts and ways that countries run their little realms, we simply wouldn't be able to connect as Americans. We wouldn't even be able to come to terms. So for the entire planet, world peace, that's a bit far-fetched. Maybe... No, I can't. I'm trying to be as realistic and optimistic at the same time as possible. Yeah. But to have the entire planet working on the same accord without any drama of any kind, we can't.
John Lennon said it best. I mean, if there was no sense of religion, if there's no sense of actual like form of currency,
right? If
everyone's just on an equal slate,
right?
I think that's when that get us a lot closer to world peace. But then
that's violation.
Yeah, and then when we have those two, there's going to be this idea. Well, no one's going to get motivated to do anything to make a profit. No one's going to get motivated to do something that benefits them in the long run. After that, you just become. It's just going to be. There's just going to be this lull, and everyone's just going to be complacent. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be no progression, and I think that's what we're going to be looking for world peace. Is there just has to be a plateau of human technology that just stops, and after that, no one's trying to succeed. No one's trying to like do stuff for financial gain. If you know what I mean.
And at the same time, we wouldn't be evolving without that.
You see how far fetched that sounds.
Right.
Like
imagine the Olympics where everybody got equal medals. You know, everybody got participatory medals, right? Nobody's gonna, like you said, no one's gonna try. But this form of competition that we create amongst ourselves forces us as human beings to expand. I mean, the Olympics is humanity showing itself something. Like, the last Olympics, you ran a mile in this amount of time. That's never been done before in humankind. And then, of course, we break our records every Olympics. And that means we as human beings are evolving because we're forcing ourselves to move forward.
Or our sports medicine.
But like war. War is what would keep us moving with our technology. Imagine if America wasn't going against Russia to get a fucking spaceship to the moon or whatever. Like, imagine if we weren't on that level, we wouldn't have done it so quickly.
Yeah, technology. War is a harbinger of technology to make it
right
to get that going.
We get drones because they've been using drones to bomb people for years. We just got them recreationally recently. You know what I mean?
True. Recreation for a drone.
The
new war movie.
Wait. Well, come on. Oh, the military obviously has another form of internet that we don't use.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they have an internet that's unfathomable. You know, the virtual reality, augmented reality stuff, they already have that. That's done. They've been had that for years. When they're bored with it, we get it. So just imagine if there wasn't war, if there wasn't, I'm not saying war is great, I'm not advocating war in any way, but if we weren't doing it, we wouldn't be pushing ourselves to become more advanced, to stay in power, whatever the fuck. We have really bad morals and concepts.
I'm saying if we take that all out the window,
you think that
then that's at least leads us to more of a peaceful society. If I'm staying complacent in North America, I don't really necessarily need to know what's going down in the Middle East, because, well, if I'm good here, then that's all I need to be, because I can assume that they're doing good, over there, because we're all on an equal level playing field. You know, that's what the idea that I'm getting.
Okay.
But to play off what you're saying too, is that the more we advance, it still goes into being competitive. It goes into our ego, and after that, then it becomes. There's a lot more competitive edge to that. You know what I mean?
Londa said CIA was walking around with smartphones during the Cold War, sending memes in each other. He also said the TV had local news, which showed you only your local bubble. Now with the internet, people are looking at other people's bubbles for the first time and freaking the fuck out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
He
that.
also said Skynet is what Mark's talking about, and Trump is going to build a drone wall. Nobody sees it yet.
Dang, after what I'm talking about, it's like, yeah, you're pro Skynet. I'm like,
oh,
damn,
shit.
I'm already falling in line.
Like you said, the CIA or the government has a whole different type of technology, and then when they get bored, they release it to the masses.
Yeah.
But then
When or they found the next thing, you know.
or once it hits the masses, the masses hit them with a totally different side of their own technology that they never seen. That's why they're finding hackers and then taking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I look at it the same way as when a game developer releases their game and then they watch speedrunners play their game and they they glitch through walls and shit that they didn't know that was even possible, and then they go, oh wow, these guys used my creation in a way I'd never even fathomed.
Yeah.
So when they give us their technology, and they go, we're done with it, we don't know what else to do with it, and then we start using the internet to make shit like Kickstarter and shit. So yeah, there's a lot of this almost sounds like we're just going in on the internet. So without the internet, maybe something could have been more
Yeah, I
passable.
mean, just saying, like, technology, if there's no financial means to be competitive.
So universal income would be a good move.
No,
Elon Musk
not
is right.
not even. Just if we just take all that out the window and just stop at this point. Like,
Stop. Everyone in the world, put a gun to your head. The whole planet.
Not lives, but I'm saying if we get everyone. I'm talking like the only thing to me that's going to achieve world peace is if we just have socialism and just have everyone have the same things, and like have the poor in one house and have. But see how let me explain. Like, we actually have poor.
This is coming from the guy who said if Hitler had 10 more years.
Yeah, with space technology, not with his agenda. I actually feel more confident on that.
Still redacted.
His space program was impressive. That's it. But if you have the homeless actually in houses, if you have rich people who do whatever they could stay there with their house. They don't know any better. If they go back to if they go to a 1-star house, they'll probably flip their shit and kill themselves. But if we all become complacent and have this one structured idea of where everyone's just as equal as everyone else, in a sense, isn't that a sense of peace?
No.
Exactly.
Well,
that's the whole gimmick of the world peace. I just think it's that unattainable.
What's your take on the world peace thing?
It's just like how we said earlier, dude.
Nah.
Nah. No, but exactly that. No, it's impossible, and not to get back to the internet, but with where would we be if the internet wasn't as big as it was?
The internet?
We wouldn't be having. Yeah.
We'd still be like.
It'd be 1999.
Exactly.
Still.
Or 1996.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Actually, I would say it'd be because we all got worked for Y2K, so I think 1999 would be the.
In constant.
I'd say if you kept the internet at 1999 speeds, and just kept that, and never showed anyone else anything better from that time.
We'd be more free.
Damn, but you're right. Really, dude, but, you'd be right.
It's impossible because like there's places and sects of the world that we didn't even know existed that are still like cave people or like pygmy people, and there, and you said
good.
the standard for peace is different everywhere else.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the fact that, like, or the sort of concept that America and the United States is trying to police the world, and even with people who don't necessarily agree with what we're doing, it's unfathomable that you can get everyone into agreement
in the same box. Now, if I could throw in a small conspiracy, I think they're attempting that because we were actually talking about this earlier, memes and stuff, right? Now, the point that was made earlier, we were able to see our little local world. Now we can see the entire planet and what the planet is doing, what the planet is thinking, what the planet watches, what they dance to, etc. A breakthrough song comes on, or what? Like, let's say a breakthrough song comes out. It's #1 single. Everybody loves this song. What do you see? You see people making dance videos to the same song. You see people making like meme videos to the same song. We see people making like little music videos to the same song. How about this? To bring in the point a little bit more, when a challenge comes out, when you see the mannequin challenge, and it's being shown in Africa, it's being shown in Paris, it's being shown in Afghanistan, we're all doing the same thing. We're all agreeing to do the same activity. We're all agreeing that this is actually really interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And there's a language barrier too. A lot of these countries didn't speak English with us. It wasn't even like the mannequin challenge is unsaid. It's just we're all posing like mannequins. Somebody started that craze, and everybody started doing it.
The most popular YouTube video, Gangnam Style. You couldn't get anywhere. That has 2 billion plays on YouTube. The world's population is 8 billion.
8? Oh.
7 or 8 billion. So that means if you take it to human population, it's like 1.5 billion to 1 billion people watch that YouTube video. It's like at one point everyone was just doing the same thing and
had the same interest.
Yeah,
and everyone loved this song and the video.
It was like a high point. It was like a high point for society.
Yeah, everybody was united for this fucking weird ass video, right?
It's crazy because how crazy it sounds like for the short time that we're in unison. For the oddest thing,
right? That's what I'm saying. The internet is such an anomaly because you couldn't predict what people like viral videos, like working on YouTube, right? The big thing is to work for a viral video. Like if you get a viral video, it's a marketing tactic. But the concept of a viral video is so impossible you can't predict it.
Yeah.
Because there was a video with a piece of toast that fell.
What the fuck?
It's literally 3 seconds. It's just a piece of toast sitting up, and that's the end of the video. Yeah. I think it had like 5 million views or something like that.
Directed by the Coens. There's 4 messages behind it.
But it's obviously shot on somebody's phone.
Yeah.
It is just and that was the video. It's over. And people are commenting and having conversations about this and laughing and joking. It's like everybody came together for this dumbass piece of toast falling. That's the name of the video. Piece of toast falls. And I don't even know how people found it. But the point I'm making is we seem to be going into the same mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because Facebook is the world. Facebook, it's not going to go away.
Huge.
It's not going to stop happening. Facebook is actually attached to most websites now. Like Facebook it is a part of society.
You don't have a username, just sign in with your Facebook here on whatever website.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're on Facebook, what happens though? Like I'm saying, those challenges. When you see those challenges, that means we are all agreeing on the same concept and we contribute to it. How many things have you seen where people are doing covers of songs and they obviously don't speak English? You know? So I'm looking at it like that. Like we are all we see the entire world and then something happens. I never know what whoever starts a challenge. That's what scares me. I'm like, who's starting challenges? Because what makes a challenge explode? Nobody has an answer. So the mannequin challenge is the best example.
Have you ever?
It's accessibility. You don't need much to do it. You don't. All you need is a group of people to agree to do it, and then you can.
The entertain net.
Take part in this. Londa says we're barely where we are with 27 fake religion pushing peace. And he also said the thing that bothers me the most is that other countries see that 90% of American challenges involve wasting food, like the ice bucket challenge.
The ice bucket challenge.
Remember the huge hysteria that people got under because California is in a drought at that time,
right?
And then there's not clean water. Matt Damon's bitching about there's not clean water to
Mm-hmm.
a certain percentage of the world. So a lot of people freaked out over that and was actually demonizing people for wasting water.
Yeah.
Right, and we had a big fight over that.
Yeah.
Planking.
Planking.
Everybody on the planet was planking,
A couple
They
people
were dying.
died.
and they were dying.
Yeah.
People were dying from this challenge.
It's like
Right.
they tried to do a mid-air plank with no parachute. They're like,
Right.
"Oh, let me do it in mid-air," and just they fell to the death.
Kill yourself.
But here's the thing. This is where I go. It almost feels like somebody outside of the internet contributed to the challenge because it's universally. You're capable of doing it anywhere on the planet. That's what bothers me about certain challenges. Planking is unsaid. You lay flat and you just do that. That makes sense. The mannequin challenge, unsaid. Nobody's giving these challenges. Don't go. These are the rules to the challenge. Do it. No, they do it,
Everyone
and then
just
everybody
knows.
follows suit. It's unanimous. Everybody sees it. Hive mind. That's great. I'm trying to think of what was the at night I think of you.
That's the Running Man.
Running Man challenge.
I thought it was watching the movie The Running Man.
Right, but
Which totally changed the Running Man.
right.
People are
It's a
doing
new dance
different-
now.
yeah,
it's a new dance. They
not the
converted
Running
it.
Man.
Even
Yeah,
made
the Running
that-
Man
even made that
is
song a
dumb
hit
gesture.
again. Yeah.
Right, and they bring songs back with challenges, you know. But I'm just saying the challenges aren't happening just in Cali. It's not just a USA thing. Everyone on the planet does it. Because when I see people in Uganda doing the Running Man challenge, you have to ask yourself, are we becoming one culture? It's like, are we slowly blending into each other?
Internet culture.
The internet is pulling us all together because even the humor of the world is changing. Because when you look at memes, you see certain memes sometimes and go, "Who the fuck made this? And why am I laughing so
Why
hard
is it so
at it?"
dank?
Who,
Why is it
who
such
would
a
have
dank
thought to
meme?
put a crying Jordan face on a frog for some joke and it works?
Let me play on one thing because I know what you're saying here. That the last person that was a human viral video was considered the most oddest person ever.
Susan Boyle.
No, Susan Boyle, Jesus Christ. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson can walk from coast to coast.
Molesting all the children.
He can walk from coast to coast. Allegedly, he can walk from coast to coast,
Moonwalk.
and someone's going to recognize him.
Yeah.
He can go country to country, coast to coast. Someone's going to recognize him. He was the last person that was like a human viral video.
Yeah.
And the person that was
Continue. Keep going.
the wow, don't you can't now I'm distracted.
now I'm like, what is that?
It says African Plain Challenge.
Professionalism, sound lad.
Carry a drop of moisture upon a leaf for 2 months.
Oh, Jesus. But Michael Jackson was the last person that was the most in tune with other people because other people knew him.
Right.
But was considered the most oddest person
On the planet.
on the planet. And it's just because a lot of people just knew him and they were just, everyone was able to critique and have their opinions about him. But it's like maybe he was just the most in tune with everyone.
That's actually
And
pretty
that's
deep.
just a reflection of everyone else's personalities on that
Everybody
guy.
sees a little bit of him in them.
Yeah, so in tune with everyone that he changed the complexion of his skin as well as the looks of his own face.
Yeah, you know,
That's psycho. That's something fucked up with your head.
there might be something. You might have a little something inside of Michael Jackson in a way. Sound like-
You might have had something inside of me.
Who knows? I set it up, you tee it off. But that goes to the point. It's just, let's take the idea of being viral in human form. Michael Jackson's
Michael
probably
Jackson.
one of the last persons
He
to do it.
seriously couldn't go anywhere on the planet. Like he just
Michael Jordan carries that same torch, but it's like, no, he was nowhere near what Michael Jackson was.
Michael
dude.
Jackson. He was explaining in an interview. He's like, there was no place I can go. No, he's like, I've tried countless.
Go to
places.
Fiji. There's people just like just in just the indigenous countries. You
Just
go
doing the
there.
ad libs of his sounds and
When did
shit.
he stop performing?
Uh,
Years before
He died in 2009, and he was going to do a comeback tour that same year.
Oh shit!
yeah,
And
it's literally called "This Is
this
It."
is it.
The tour was called "This Is It."
And-
Right, because there was a movie about it.
Right. So he was basically he knew he was going to die.
Well, it's hard to forget a black child who turned into a bleached mummy in your lifetime.
Oh my god!
Jeez.
Thank you.
Lifeline that-
But overall, just I like where he was coming from. It's like
I like
We are all weird.
That's a cute idea.
No, because like
Well, shaman, guys.
I'm starting to see.
Shaman,
Right. I'm starting to see we're all fucking weirdos. We're all weirdos, and this whole construct of society is being broken by the internet. Because you're starting to see, you know what I'm talking about, guys. You're on the internet now, and you're like, what the fuck are these people on? And why am I connecting with it so much? These are some weird motherfuckers. Like, there'll be some videos I'm like, I don't know what the hell I just experienced, but I'm going to watch it again. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a weird little trend. Like somebody, if anybody fell, like this weird song would play and they just keep looping the side, like them falling. I don't know, what the hell is that? I don't know what I'm looking at, but I watched it again.
That same concept of what you're saying is like, you know, it's ridiculous. You know, it's like, you kind of, you boggles your mind how people like it. That's sometimes with movies like The Room, maybe.
Right.
Happen, or shitty YouTube videos you watch where you're thinking this is ridiculous, but I gotta watch it again.
I gotta watch it again. It almost feels, that's where I almost look at that as like a glitch in the Matrix, because it doesn't make sense.
It's a glitch in your mind.
Right.
Because over time you start thinking, or at least me, I start thinking, all right, what made this guy do this? Or
Right.
what else has this guy done? Or,
Right.
Or how do you come up with this? And then I kind of create a little appreciation for that.
'Cause
I know it's shitty. I know it's dumb.
Yeah, but you
then
go,
I like it.
yeah, because you have to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then you have to realize we're all unique.
Exactly.
And then once we embrace that, that's when we become one. But that's hard to do. You know, you got to look inside yourself and all that shit. But I hope we're still on subject. But overall, it's just the concept of world peace. I don't believe it's possible, but I think at this rate, the internet is influencing in positive and negative ways. In the negative ways, we have a lot of defectors that are throwing us off.
Yeah.
But in other ways, we are unifying in all these unique aspects. Viral things. Because even, like I said, I've been studying this stuff. They have no clue how viral works.
No.
They've tried. They're like, we tried formulas. Like, if we have this element, and this element, we could recreate a viral video. Never. It literally can be up to just
That's
the
crazy.
cosmos.
It's crazy how with all the viral videos we have, that idea it's incalculable.
It's incalculable. It's like, you
Crazy.
can't quantify it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
It's viral videos and God, the two biggest mysterious.
Exactly.
Too busy.
It's
Too
God
busy.
trying to communicate with us. That's what it is. God's
Viral videos.
God's trying to bring us together through memes. So it is pretty interesting to.
It's funny how you just made that seem like, like people are gonna tune in. They're like, okay, I'm gonna ride with that. I'm riding with that idea because no one laughed at the end of it.
No, because it is weird. It's a weird concept to think like I'm connecting with this thing that doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of that is happening. I like meme culture and viral culture. Yeah,
they're doing a lot.
Conversation.
They're doing a lot to have us disconnect.
But then there's so many
from having a world consciousness.
Yeah, but that's not stopping us because we connect in ways that they can't calculate to predict. We're
Yeah,
connecting
but it's in a negative
unpredict-
fashion. I'm talking. It's like it's not in a positive light.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I hope that because I do the water bucket challenge, right? Yeah, there were a lot of people pissed about the water being spilled, but then some people are like, you do know that spilling ice cold water on the top of your head out of nowhere is affecting your brain. Like you just damaged yourself, like permanent damage. Like, and they go into this is what happens neurologically with being dumped with ice. What the fuck is the point of that, by the way?
Yeah.
And some people go, if the right challenge is put out there, people will just hurt themselves for no reason. The kick in the balls challenge,
Fall off a cliff challenge.
Yeah, But anyway,
Huge success.
I made my point. I wanted to keep that.
And now, with that point being said, we have achieved world peace here on the Mark and Andre Show. Episode 65, The Quest for Peace. We have met our quest, and we have achieved our quest. World peace is totally attainable. It's just, though, the way you could do it, you have to eliminate so many factors, and it's just, it's not going to happen in our lifetime. We gotta hope for a meteor or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just to clean slate it.
How about you just enjoy your life where you're at and better your community and the people around you?
Exactly. Here on the Mark and Andre Show. I want to thank Andre from Lyricology 101. I want to thank SoundLad number 2. And I also want to thank the people commenting here on the Mark and Andre Show. Andre, I'm going to leave the floor to you.
What's up, y'all?
For the shameless promotion.
Shameless promotion time. If you guys don't know by now, I am a hip-hop instructor. I teaches the hip-hops. If you guys don't want to learn about hip-hop, but you're just interested in how that shit even happens or why people like it in the first place, I do a series called Bar for Bar Breakdowns where I take popular songs and I dissect them all the way down to a science. Maybe you guys will enjoy that. If you like Eminem, maybe you can check out some of his breakdowns that I've done for him. You can check me out at youtube.com/ANDREGAINER. That's youtube.com/Andre Gainer. And watch it and then enjoy it when that happens. And then, yeah.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Mark and Andre Show, episode 65, The Quest for Peace.